guys, and welcome to Book and Loop, where happiness is handmade and the best boyfriends are always found in books. So August was actually a really great month for me reading-wise, but not such a great month recording. So I actually wound up reading 9 books total in August. Only 6 of those were for the I Read It All. The other 3 I read while I was on vacation, and I'll be doing another video to kind of feature those 3 books that I read while I was on vacation. So I have work today and I need to leave in like a half hour, but I wanted to jump on and just quickly record for the remaining books that I didn't record for. I did record one book previously when I first read it back in the beginning of August. The ones I read the rest of August, though, I did not record for. So I'm going to very quickly jump through those for you guys. The first book that I read in August was Peter Abraham's Bullet Point. This book was kind of very middle of the road for me. So it is a thriller, and it takes place back in the recession in 2008. It tells the story of Wyatt, who's from this small town that has unfortunately really taken a toll since the economy has gone down. So Wyatt goes to high school, he plays baseball, and he just loves it so much, and it's kind of like his life. But unfortunately, his high school baseball program gets cut as a result of budget cuts from the economy. So Wyatt's coach offers him the choice to go to Silver City in order to go to a high school there so that he can try playing baseball, but his best friend is also going, and they only take 1 transfer a year. So Wyatt comes from like a kind of broken home. He has like an abusive stepfather. His mother is never really around for him. And his biological father has been in jail since before Wyatt was born, as a result of a crime that Wyatt is not entirely sure if his dad actually committed. So when he gets to Silver City, he realizes that that is where the prison is that his dad is being held. And he also meets a very mysterious girl that is kind of in the same situation as, is in kind of like a similar situation as Wyatt. So Bullet Point is a thriller, and it kind of was pretty okay. I wouldn't say that I was like super in love with it. It was like definitely like readable and easy to read. This is like definitely like something that was outside of my like wheelhouse. I definitely didn't see the ending coming. I don't want to spoil it, but like I didn't see the ending coming at all. And I finished reading this around like 1 o'clock in the morning last night. So it was a little bit of a spooky, not a spooky ending, but like a little bit of like a like raise the hair on your arms kind of ending for this book. And it definitely had me looking over my shoulder. Overall, I think that it was pretty good. I definitely would recommend it to somebody looking for a thriller. I think that it was pretty good. The characters were kind of like a little iffy for me, but the storyline itself was pretty good. Yeah, that's Bullet Point by Peter Abrahams. Okay, so I already talked about Bullet Point by Peter Abrahams. The second book that I'm going to be talking about is Reality Check by Peter Abrahams. I wound up liking Reality Check more than I did Bullet Point, but it gave me like really strong Shirley Devious vibes, and I think that that's why like I really wound up liking it. So Reality Check is a story of a football player in the middle of Colorado, and he has this girlfriend that he really loves, and the father kind of doesn't approve of their relationship. He thinks that the girlfriend needs to get like more serious about school so she can get into an Ivy League, so he decides to send her to a boarding school in Vermont. So the main character's name is Cody and the girlfriend's name is Clea, and while right before Clea leaves to go to school, Cody breaks up with her. Flash forward a few weeks, Cody plays football, he gets a career-ending injury. He kind of like drops out of school after that, and then the news comes out that Clea has gone missing at her school. So Cody decides to travel across the country to go and help find Clea. This was a really great book. I found myself trying to figure out the mystery as it went along, and I was totally off with my predictions like about like halfway through. I was like, I know exactly where this is going, I know exactly who did it, and I know why. But then it wound up not being quite exactly what I thought. So I really enjoyed it a lot. I definitely would recommend it to teens that are looking for like a good mystery that kind of has like a happy-ish ending. I thought that Reality Check was really good, and it made me want to read more Peter Abraham's books. But unfortunately, I had to continue on, and we didn't have any more of his books at the library. So I went to the next book that we had, which was Danny Constantino's First Date by Paul Akampora. Um, it was really good. It was more geared towards like a middle grade. The characters are in 8th grade and they're going to their 8th grade dance. So it's about these kids in 8th grade, and the main character's name is Danny. And when he was younger, he was best friends with this girl, Natalie Flores Griffin. And Natalie kind of goes off to Hollywood to become a big star. So he hasn't seen her since he was in, I believe it was 4th grade. And when the 8th grade dance comes around, one of his friend's older sisters is joking around, oh, who are you going to bring to the dance? Um, and they kind of like get to talking about Natalie Flores Griffin. The sister contacts Natalie and invites her to come to the dance. And Natalie says yes. So it's kind of just a story of um, this girl from Hollywood that's like trying to like, kind of be like a normal girl and like trying to like slip into her hometown again. And Danny has a lot going on in his own life, and he wasn't even really sure if he wanted Natalie to be there. But she is now, and so he kind of has to navigate that new world of like, okay, the girl that I'm taking to the dance is a big superstar and there are paparazzi following us and like all this different stuff. It was a pretty funny book. Um, I think that it would have been, I think it was a good introduction into like a rom-com for younger kids. It had like all the elements I'm making, and they talk about it constantly about like rom-coms and how their relationship is like a rom-com. I do think that I think that it was pretty good. I think I wound up giving it 4 stars. Most of the books I read this month were really good. I think the only one that I didn't like love was Bullet Point, and that was because it was like so much like a thriller. So the next Paul Akampora book that I read was In Honor of Broken Things. I really liked this one even more than I liked Dana Constantino's First and Last Date. Um, In Honor of Broken Things follows the story of 3 teens. One's in 9th grade, and I think either one or two of them is in 9th grade, or one or two of them is in 8th grade, and the other one is like the opposite. Um, it really was very good. It's told from 3 different point of views. So the first point of view is from Oscar Villanueva, and Oscar is the star football player on the team, even though he's in 9th grade. He also just recently lost his sister to cancer, and so he's been having a really tough time at home. Then you have Riley Baptiste, who kind of moves to this small town after she was living in Philadelphia. Her mom worked at a diner, and Riley was at the diner with her when the mom was robbed at gunpoint at the cash register. So Riley's mom kind of decides they're going to pick up and they're going to move out back to where she grew up in her hometown. And Riley's kind of just like dealing with the struggle of adjusting to small town life and really missing Philadelphia. The final character that you have is Noah Wright, whose parents are going through a divorce. He's been homeschooled his whole life, but he finally decides that he wants to go to a regular school and make some friends other than being in his home, which is obviously at its breaking point. So the 3 characters, Oscar, Riley, and Noah, all meet during their introductory to class, and they're just kind of all going through like their own struggles as well. You have Riley, who's kind of dealing with that displacement issue. She doesn't really know who her family is. She's only ever had her mom. She has no connections to anywhere other than Philadelphia, and she's not there anymore. Then you have Oscar, who obviously just lost his sister. He has dealing with all the pressure of being the school's football star and the principal constantly only valuing him for that. You also then have Noah, who's obviously dealing with his own issues with home life, with his parents getting a divorce. So it's kind of it's nice that these characters like lean on each other, and I feel like it really speaks well to the power of like having good friends during the dark parts of your life, or just having good friends in general that you can lean on when those dark parts do come up. And I think that this was like a really overall very enjoyable book. I think that the characters were really interesting. I didn't feel like it was like overly geared toward middle grade like I did the first one. The characters were dealing with really real issues that like everyday teens deal with. And because of that, I found that it was like a really valuable story. Like Danny Constantino's First and maybe Last Date like was really like a very light read, where this one was a little bit heavier. And the final book that I read by Peter Akampora was I Kill the Mockingbird, and this book was really good too. as someone that was very like bookish in school and constantly wanting people to read more, but never like really knowing how to do that exactly. I really enjoyed reading I Kill the Mockingbird. So I Kill the Mockingbird is about three teens doing their summer reading challenge. They go to a private Catholic school, and their teacher, who they call Fat Bob, passes away kind of like towards the beginning of the year, and they have a different teacher throughout the rest of the year. But before he passes away, Fat Bob tells them that the only reading he would ever assign to them would be To Kill a Mockingbird. So the main character, Lucy, is just obsessed with To Kill a Mockingbird, and she decides that over the summer, um, she's only going to read To Kill a Mockingbird for the summer reading instead of all the other books that were assigned to them. So you have then her best friends are Elena and Michael. Basically, what they want to do is, in order to honor Fat Bob, Lucy wants to basically make it so that everybody is talking about To Kill a Mockingbird because that was Fat Bob's favorite, and Lucy really loves the book too. So she devises this whole plan where, basically based on like some like inkling of an idea of like how capitalism works, she wants to decrease the supply and then increase the demand of To Kill a Mockingbird. So basically what she wants to do is her and her friends will go around to the bookstores in Massachusetts and kind of like hide all of the copies of To Kill a Mockingbird, not stealing them, just hiding them within the store. And then they create this poster and they leave it behind. And they kind of like create this whole like idea of like I Kill the Mockingbird, where it's all these copies are going missing across the state and nobody knows why. And of course, it spreads as things will. It spreads across the country, and people are doing this all over the country. Um, it really was a very good book. I think I read it basically in one sitting. It's another middle grade book, and I did really enjoy it. I thought that it was really good. I thought that it was funny, and I feel like the characters were really great. It had like a little bit of everything in it. It had a little bit of romance, it had a little bit of um like family drama, and it had like a lot going on. Um and I thought it was really good. I feel like if I was a middle schooler and I read this, I would have been like obsessed with it. So I definitely think that I Killed the Mockingbird was really good. I actually recommend any of his books if you have a middle grade reader or you are a librarian as well and you think that you need a couple more middle grade books in your collection. The Peter Ackambora books are really good and I really enjoyed them. So the last book that I read in August was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. It was really, really good. It's about, I actually wound up recommending it to my older sister as well as one of my friends as well that likes to read. So it tells the story of two girls, one in the Dominican Republic and one in New York. So one of the girls, her name is Camino, and she lives in the Dominican Republic. And she is this very smart girl. She goes to a private school and she kind of is like the apprentice to her aunt, who's kind of like a healer in the community that they live in. And her mother died when she was young, and her father lives in New York City 9 months out of the 12 of the year. And comes and visits every summer. And he lives in New York City because he has a job there where he runs a billiards place and he's able to then send money back home to the Dominican Republic for Camino and her aunt. So then in New York you have Yahira, and Yahira is in New York City, and she kind of is told the news by her mother during the school day, and then is kind of reeling from the realization that her father is gone. And she also knows a secret of her dad where she knows that her dad has another wife. So Yahira's dad spends 9 months out of the 12 with her and travels the other three to the Dominican Republic to visit family. So, one summer when um, their dads are kind of traveling between New York to the Dominican Republic, there's a plane crash and their father doesn't make it. These two girls don't know each other, they don't know the other exists. But they kind of both go through their own separate processes of grief. And I was really surprised that I liked this novel because it is told in verse. And if you'll remember back in May, I read Junk Boy and it was told in verse and I didn't really like love it. But I wound up really liking this. I feel like the verse really worked well for me. I don't know if it was just the content of the story. Or if it was just like I don't know why I wound up liking this better than Junk Boy, because I usually don't really love verse books, but I did really wound up really liking this, so I'm not entirely sure. But I really thought that Clap When You Land was really good. I already started to read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, So I'm excited to see. I'm about like 100 pages into that, and I'm liking that as well so far. So maybe just Elizabeth Acevedo writes really good verse, and that's why I'm like really enjoying her books. So I guess we will find out. But so those are the 6 books that I read in August. I'm really proud of myself. I've been steadily increasing by 2 each month. Who knows? Maybe I'll go for 8 in September. We'll see. So that is going to be all from me. I hope you enjoyed my I Read It All August wrap up, and I will be seeing you guys super soon. Happy reading!